In this video, we will add subwoofers and point source products to a design and configure their parameters. In addition, we will review the capabilities of the source pattern tool. When you are ready to add subwoofers to your design, you can do this by first selecting the Add Sound Source tool within the 3D System or Top View toolbar. When selected, you will see all of the available subwoofer models from Cohesion. Today we are going to use the CP218 II+, which is a powered, dual 18-inch subwoofer. You are first prompted to name the subwoofer array, and just like that, you now have a pair of subwoofer arrays added to your design. Notice that like other source types in Canvas, subwoofers are added with a predefined enclosure quantity and are added as a mirrored pair, exhibiting symmetry across the x-axis. Looking at the source data field menus, we can see there are additional configuration settings associated with subwoofer arrays. The Setup tab defines the position, aiming, and configuration of the subwoofer array. The default configuration when adding subwoofers is a ground stack of 3 subs configured for cardioid operation. Since this array will be flown, we will change the configuration setting to flown. Notice the defined X, Y, and Z position remain constant, but the array origin has changed based on the selected configuration. In flown configuration, the front pick point is the origin of the array. In addition, changing to the flown configuration automatically adds the corresponding top grid and opens up additional rigging settings that are specific to flown sub-configurations. The CP218 II+ top grid has 2 sets of rails that can be used to suspend the array. The rail menu item is used to select which rail will be used, and this further defines the pick point locations that are used in the load and center of gravity calculations. The total quantity of subwoofers that can be suspended is determined by the rail and pick point selections. Canvas automatically adjusts the available quantity selection based on these settings to prevent unsafe configurations. Further details about array weights, dimensions, and center of gravity are found in the mechanical view of the selected subwoofer array. For additional details regarding the rigging of Cohesion subwoofers, refer to the Cohesion CP218 II+ reference guide. Any processing applied to the entire subwoofer array is defined within the Processing tab. The processing available here is applied to all enclosures within the array. Options include LF mode, polarity, gain, and delay. The Enclosures tab includes the available settings for each subwoofer within the array. In orientation, choose either forward or backward for cardioid configurations. Set gain, delay, and polarity to accommodate the creation of advanced, steered arrays. Keep in mind that the standard Cohesion cardioid configuration is an available option within the Setup tab and, when selected, the appropriate individual enclosure processing parameters are automatically applied in the single click of a button. In addition, when the cardioid preset is active, the enclosure quantities available are based on the recommended deployment structure of Cohesion cardioid subwoofer arrays. Now that we've configured our flown subarrays, we will add a ground subarray to the design. We start again by selecting the Add Sound Source tool in the toolbar. Since the default subwoofer array is the ground configuration, there is no need to change the configuration. The origin is the center of the front, bottom edge of the stack, making ground configurations easier to deploy as designed in the field. Using the Layout option, the ground subwoofer array can be configured as either a vertical or horizontal deployment. In this case, Canvas follows the safety rules for the CP218 II+ and limits the available enclosure quantity based on the selected layout. Processing in ground arrays includes the same options we saw previously with the flown subwoofer array. And, of course, for quick cardioid preset capability, select cardioid as the preset in the Setup tab. Our design now has line arrays and subwoofers added and configured. It's time to round out our coverage for the short throw coverage areas. Let's add some point source products as front fills in front of the stage. Point sources are found as one of the available selections within the Add Sound Source tool. We can select from any of the available CF Series and CP6+ products for fill applications. Today we'll be adding CF28s to the design. Like other sources, the point sources are added in a symmetrical pair that is mirrored across the x-axis and positioned at x = 0. Using the Move tool, we can select either of the 2 loudspeakers and move them into position as front fills. As with line arrays and subwoofers, the Setup tab within the multipurpose panel is unique to point sources to accommodate the unique configurations and orientation of the point source product. All Cohesion point source products are engineered for maximum deployment and dispersion flexibility, knowing full well that intricate staging and production designs require intricate fill designs. To simplify the orientation flexibility of the Cohesion point source catalog, Canvas provides a simplified combined look at cabinet and horn orientation directly in the Setup tab. Cabinet rotation is indicated by the blue rectangle, and horn orientation by the vector with arrow ends that describe the wide angle of the coverage. Note that the high-frequency dispersion is displayed and is updated based on the current setup. The cabinet and horn orientation as defined here is what is used within the simulation, so there is no need to rotate the loudspeaker or choose different loudspeaker data files based on horn orientation. Adding and working with individual pairs of fill product can become cumbersome in large stage system designs. To efficiently add an entire front fill deployment, you can use the source pattern group, which is the last option within the Add Source drop-down list. Selecting the source pattern group brings up the source pattern tool design dialog, where you can edit and add an entire collection of identical arrays, subwoofers, or point sources to the project. Our design is in need of a handful of point source front fills equally spaced across the entire downstage edge. We will change the array type to point source and pick our favorite front fill, the CF28. We want this to be a linear arrangement across the front of the stage, with 8 clusters total, exhibiting an 8-foot spacing between each CF28. We know that the stage is 5 feet tall, and that we will be applying DSP symmetrically, so we will toggle Create Pair to On in the dialog. Once we have completed our selections to define this array of CF28 front fills, we can select OK. And just like that, we've created an entire line of front fills. Though we have equal spacing across this entire design, this particular model has a thrust. We can easily offset the middle spacing to accommodate the thrust, because by default, source pattern designs are created under a group. Simply drag the Y-axis of the group to accommodate the thrust, and we have a usable front fill deployment. The source pattern tool can aid in the creation of more than just front fill layouts. It can be used for quickly designing spaced center subarrays in front of the stage. And in the larger venues, it can be used for field delays placed along a continuous arc to aid in the long throw support of your main stage system designs. We've got a lot of future development plans for the source pattern tool, all focused on streamlining the workflow of adding large multi-array sources to your Canvas designs. Now that we have learned the basics of working with subwoofers, point sources, and the source pattern tool for creating our system design, in our next module, we will take a look at mapping and simulation settings we can use to evaluate the simulated system performance.